We're gonna grab some handcuffs. Sorry, guys.
Getting pretty good. Did you get my text this morning?
I did not.
Okay.
Did you text Ron or me?
I don't know. I texted whoever was communicating. I was
Probably
communicating.
Ron.
Yeah, I've got a 10:30 conference call I got to make.
Okay.
And so we'll see how things are going here. I may just step out.
Okay.
And,
no big deal.
Yeah.
Oh. Are you tired of meeting with us yet? That's okay. Be honest.
Yeah, it's not about being tired about meeting with you guys. It's that it's kind of like I think of it in my mind. It's like an aquarium, and when you go your hand on the bottom, and then all of a sudden all this stuff comes up. So it's the stuff that comes up.
That's a good analogy. Yeah,
yes. Brings up all kinds of stuff. And,
yeah.
Doubt and memories and and connections, and then you let it out,
Yeah. No, I get it.
And then you just like start beating yourself up because how could I ever done anything like this, or get involved with people like this, and how could I be deceived so much, and how could I be so stupid?
Well, don't beat yourself up.
all that comes up. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, that's the hard part of it.
And hopefully this is the last time that we have to talk. But we just needed to go over a couple more things, just some clarifying questions, since we've been doing the investigation that have kind of come up again.
Okay.
Okay? Do you need water or anything, or are you good?
I'm okay.
Okay. You remember Vince?
I hope so.
Fremont County.
Fremont County.
That was a nice one.
I do.
So, how's everything been going? You getting back to normal life and back on track and
trying to, once in a while something comes up, or some reporter comes up, or
Or you get a call from Garrett saying, "Hey, these guys want to talk to you."
Yeah, or like usually it's reporters that are reaching out to people to get information about me, because I haven't talked to the media.
Mm-hmm.
They're always trying to get some kind of info.
They're still trying, huh? Mm-hmm. Okay, Zulema. So, like I said, we're down here just to ask a couple more questions. One second.
You gotta go. Yeah, it's you prepare for it and boom. So, but I was saying that when we were walking in, we left. I think it was 51, 52 in Idaho, and came here.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
It's
awesome.
We're doing a remodel on our house, and it's it's opened up to the elements quite a bit, and we started it in January and had a section of the back wall that was about that big, as big as that wall, that was opened up and just had a tarp up over it, so it was sealed up. The wind wasn't blowing in, but the air was, there's no temperature variant at all, and half of my ceiling in my home was exposed to the roof, and so the cool air would just come in at night and just pour in there. And I think the concrete slab of my house got chilled down to about 45 degrees, and it took it until probably April to warm up, because it was always cool. But we've had it opened up so much that we've been really enjoying the nice weather, because I would hate to be doing this in in August. It would
Yeah,
be miserable.
I was just gonna ask, so is April, the end of April, 1st of May, when stuff starts heating up and really gets going?
It's when it gets warmed up in the day. You'll have highs in May. It's always a joke about when the first 100's going to be. It's usually April or May, and then
It's supposed to be Saturday.
Yeah, right. It's right on track, but then it will go back down, and it'll be 92. But 92 is warm. You step out in 92 and start playing basketball, you're going to feel it. That sun's intense, but the mornings and evenings are wonderful. My experience is, and you've lived here a long time too, that even into June, you'll come out in the morning and it'll be 68, 70 degrees, and it's beautiful. But then, as soon as that sun, that's the big difference, is that when do you hit 95? If it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, who cares? If it's 10 o'clock in the morning, all right, now we're talking.
Yeah.
That's when it starts getting intense, when it's 95 at 10 in the morning. And then you're like, okay, yeah, it was 70 this morning, but we warmed right up. So you'll get if you're here Saturday, you'll get a taste of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's everyone that I know right now is getting happy because it's getting into like 65, 75, and we're all like, yeah.
Finally, golfing,
Oh my God. Too cold.
So.
Sorry, that was my wife.
No. Hey, you got to answer when she calls.
So, Zulema, as we've been going over things, we've been going over reports that you have given to Gilbert initially with Alex's death. And some of those statements that you gave them don't match what you gave us the last time we talked. So I just wanted to clarify kind of why you told them something completely different. Okay? So when I was discussing last time with you about...
Was this the day that Alex died? Is that what you're talking about?
The day Alex died.
Okay.
So do you remember anything that you told those guys as far as Lori and Chad? Or...
Very, very little. I don't remember much of what happened though. To tell you the truth, there is a part of between 2 weeks there that there isn't much, it's very foggy for me. But that night specifically, there are certain things that I remember, but not all of it. And I don't remember, I can't put a timeline together. I don't know what happened first and what happened next. I don't know which one was first and which one was second. I really don't. I've been trying to put it together, but I haven't been able to.
We've also never seen what statements she's purported to have made, so it's
Well, I can let you look at a copy, but so when Gilbert Police, let me just preface this. We're just trying to eliminate some of the things maybe defense for Lori and Chad are going to bring up during trial. Okay? And part of that defense could be that they try to pin this on other people, right? So, or make you not look as credible as what you are in case you have to testify.
Mm-hmm.
So, in order for us to make you look credible and to use what you say in court, we want to kind of jump out ahead of any type of defense that they're going to bring up, and try to make it look like you are lying or trying to get back at them or something like that. So in going over these reports, that's kind of what we are doing to make sure that everything that you told us kind of matches what has happened, right? And so when we were going over Gilbert's reports, there's some things in there that you said that you told us about when you last talked to Chad and Lori, and about when you, well, I'll just come out and ask you. You told Gilbert that you had no idea how to get a hold of Lori and Chad when they asked you who Alex was on the phone with. Can you tell me why you told him that?
I wonder why I would have said something like that, because I told them that they were on the phone with him.
Right, and they asked you how to get a hold of him. And in your statement, you said you had only met Lori a couple of times before she moved. And you hadn't seen Lori since she moved a few months ago, and you didn't think Lori was married.
Yeah, I don't remember saying that.
Well, let's look at those statements.
Yeah.
And when I say look at them, just look at them carefully there for a second. You didn't think Lori was married, right? Did you know she was married at that point?
Yeah, I did know that
Okay.
she was married.
Okay.
Yeah, because she had sent me pictures of when she had gotten married.
Okay.
So yeah, I did know that.
And
I mean,
do you-
I didn't. Let me put it this way: I saw the pictures of them on the beach, her dressed in white, him dressed in white, and they were dancing and kissing and all
Right.
of
Seen
that.
those. We've seen all the pictures, yeah.
Right. So I assumed, it was assumed that that was a wedding ceremony.
When you told them, what else did she say in that statement that she hadn't talked to him in a while? What was that statement about?
That you had only met Lori a few times.
Well, obviously that's inconsistent with what she's told you guys.
That you hadn't seen her since she moved a few months ago. And that you didn't think Lori was married.
What's the timing on hadn't seen her since she left a few months ago? Is there any explanation of that? Was there any timeline on that? Was there any clarification of what that
Well, we
meant?
know Zulema had gone up there.
Right.
So she's saying that since she moved.
I wonder if she's talking about since they moved to Idaho or to Hawaii. That's what I'm wondering about. She hadn't seen him since they moved to Hawaii.
That could be.
That's what I'm trying to find out.
That could be, but she said that she didn't know what state Lori and Chad lived in. So those are the type of things that defense is really going to probably ask you.
Yeah. So I didn't, when they left Rexburg, they didn't tell anybody where they were going. Not even even Alex was trying to find out where they were at, and he had asked them where they were at, and they wouldn't disclose where they were at. They didn't. So
you had no idea they were in Hawaii?
No.
What about the times you guys conference called?
When we were talking on the phone, they wouldn't say where they were at. So when they left from Rexburg, they didn't disclose where they were at. How I found out that they were there is when they were on the news.
Okay. Because there's some. So back in the reports, I don't know if I have that with me. They had talked to you and Melanie Boudreau about going to Hawaii after they were married. Is that not true?
This was when I can't remember when he was. I remember them saying that. So hold on, let me see if I can put a timeline on that.
Our timeline that we have has that roughly in November, and then they go missing in December, November 26th. And then you had some conference calls with them the first week of December. You and Alex and Melanie Boudreau. And Ian was on the phone. And so I'm wondering, based on all that, and then
yeah,
the statements together.
So she says this could be you. Come to Hawaii.
What day was that?
That was on November 9th. This was the day that they sent this.
The pictures.
The pictures.
Who
And that.
sent that to you, Chad or Lori?
I think this was Lori's.
Okay.
And she sent it to me and Alex.
Do you have that number?
Yes. Where is it? I just lost it. There it is. Okay. This one.
Those phones can be a
I
pain.
don't know what I'm doing.
You gotta find, I don't know if I find the number on there, it might be right there.
Maybe.
No.
It should be there.
Yes.
2 participants. Okay, so that one was from 480-692-9562. And I remember this, I responded to her with a scripture. Because they were still trying to convince me to move.
To be clear, they didn't tell you they were living there yet, right? I mean,
No.
this was them for a wedding. They came back after this, right?
They came back after this.
And then it was long around Thanksgiving that they vanished.
Right before
And
Thanksgiving.
is that when you didn't know where they went?
That's when I didn't know where they went, yes.
So when you saying come to Hawaii, it wasn't, hey, we're living here, come move to Hawaii with us.
But I believe they had conversations saying that after they got married, they were moving to Hawaii.
Okay. With Zulema?
And Melanie Boudreaux.
Okay. No, I don't know about Melanie, but
And so that's why I was wondering, when it comes to the Gilbert reports, you say you have no idea where they're at or how to get a hold of Lori, or you've only met Lori a couple times. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Where there's a discrepancy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's why we want to talk about that, and I wanted to know why you had told Gilbert police that you kind of really didn't know Lori or where she was at.
you know, and before I don't want you answering something about having potentially misled Gilbert Police Department until I hear the statement. I mean, I think what she's told you guys is the truth.
Right.
And that's what the agreement was, is that she was going to come in and tell you guys the truth. So, I mean, there's a discrepancy between the two. I mean, clearly.
Right, and that's why we're trying to get out in front of it just before trial.
Right, sure.
We just want to figure out if you in fact did make that statement, and if you did, why you made that statement.
Do you remember making that statement? Okay.
I don't remember. I remember going to the hospital. I remember them putting me in a ambulance, and they took Alex in another ambulance. And I remember them taking us to the hospital. And I remember they started working with him, and then they put me in a room. And I don't remember much of what happened between that and until the time that they brought me back to the room for me to turn off the machines for him. I don't remember when I was taken back there. I don't remember whether the person that came to talk to me, was it before or after that? I don't remember, and I can't put it together. I can't not put it together.
Okay.
I don't even remember the name of the person that was there. I don't even remember what he looks like. So if I was to see him right now, I wouldn't even recognize him. I have no idea. There's nothing right there. Then I remember when I turned off the machines, they told me, I remember somebody came saying that I couldn't touch him anymore, that he was considered a crime scene, and that I needed to leave. I asked for a couple of minutes with him. They gave me I don't know how long, but they gave me a few moments with him. And I remember coming out of the room, and my son-in-law came, and I remember him saying to somebody who was there, we're gonna get a lawyer right now, so speak to our lawyer. And then I remember leaving. That's, but I don't remember when that happened. You know what I mean? There's no correlation there for me.
Okay.
None of it.
I'm gonna time right now, because I'm gonna make that call.
Okay.
Let me do that, and then I'll come back in as soon as I can. You guys feel free to chat about anything other than this, and I'll be right back, because I'm just gonna, they're gonna, yeah. I've already missed one call from them, so let me go do that, and I'll be right back, okay?
Have you been to Rexburg or Idaho since?
No.
It's getting to be nice up there.
Is it?
Yeah.
Last time I was there was cold.
Yeah, it's cold, like,
It was cold for me anyways.
it seems like it's cold for 8 months out of the year, but
Yeah.
now's the time where it starts to get nice and warm, and it's not hot like here, but I take the heat.
I would take the heat any day.
Yeah.
So I always run 2-3 degrees colder than everybody else. And you think that they won't make that big of a difference, but it really does.
Well, I'm not
So-
sure anybody that lives down here owns a jacket, do they?
We do, because after you're here for a while, they call it your blood thins out, and it really does.
Oh.
So you become kind of a wimp, because as soon as it gets to 70, you're like, oh, it's so cold now, you know? And so when and besides the fact that my own temperature is lower than most people, then I'm always cold.
Mm.
So I have a sweater with me most of the time, most of the year.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Even in the summer months?
Mm-hmm, in the summer months,
my
because
God.
when I go inside of if I'm working inside of like a grocery store or
The air conditioning?
anywhere, the air conditioning is too cold for me, so I put the sweater while I am inside the store, and then I take my sweater when I leave the store.
So does every house down here have air conditioning?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine living down here without it.
Yeah, there are some houses that have those. They call them the swamp coolers,
Oh, yeah.
and some houses run on those ones because it's cheaper to run that than to run an air conditioning. But it's not the same. It's not the same.
Well, I think even in Idaho they have swamp coolers.
Yeah.
But the older I get, the more I hate heat and cold. So I like it between probably 80 and 90, somewhere in there. So in our summer months, we run the air conditioner.
Yeah.
Even though it doesn't get near as hot up there as it is down here. But yeah,
I like it. It's nice.
Down here?
Yeah, to be able to walk out.
it's nice for a change, but I don't know if I can live in 110 degree heat for 4 months out of
I
the year.
can do that.
So the first summer it's really, really tough because your body is not used to it yet, and you're like not really. Well, during the summer we don't do things outside. We just don't.
Just stay inside. And
You go from the house to the air conditioning house, and then from the house to the air conditioned car. And some people here also have those starters for their cars,
Oh, yeah.
so they start their cars in the air
Cool it down.
conditioning before they get into it. So that works.
see, that's funny. In Idaho, we have those to
Heat it up.
heat it up.
Right, there you go, see? So, but,
How do they play, how do kids play sports down here if it's like 110 degrees during the day?
so they do it really early in the mornings or sometimes in the evenings, but you never do it like in the middle of the day. And our hottest time, it is at 5 p.m. because we're in a...
How are you?
Good, how about you?
Good.
Good to see you.
He's complaining about hot weather again.
Well,
No, I'm saying I enjoy it. I don't know if I could do the 110
you could do
all the time.
it. You could do it. Because you see the offset of that. Because then you have 8 months of pure heaven.
That's true. So they play.
I don't know. That's
Do they do overnight sports?
Yes, a lot of people you'll see them in the courts at night.
Yeah.
Like the kids at the skate park, the basketball courts, and the parks are usually busier at night than
Just
during
because
the
it's the coolest time of the day, huh?
Yep. And we get used to it. You know what I mean? And you really do. Like in the summer, sometimes I'll go taking a jog like around 7, 8 o'clock at night, and you just you're just used to it, so it doesn't really bother you as much as it would the first summer that you're here.
Yeah, I'd imagine you'd get used to it. I never have gotten used to the cold weather, but
No.
Yeah, I couldn't either. I couldn't do the cold.
I'm not a cold person.
Mm-mm.
I still have that California blood, I think, just a little bit.
There you go. That's it. Yeah, I would do heat any day over the cold.
Yeah.
So, in those 4 months, really, they're not. People think that they're like horrible, but you just
Get used to it.
you get used to it, and then you navigate through it. You know, you don't go outside up around 5 o'clock. You know, you're just not gonna do that
Until your air conditioning breaks, and then you have to wait a month for a repairman to come because they're so dang busy.
So here they don't let you wait a full month. That they'll only make you wait for up to 24 hours and no more than that.
Oh, that's not bad.
Well,
Because it's like emergency here. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
you
Your
could die.
AC needs
Yeah.
to be fixed. It needs to be fixed right away.
that'd be the work to get into. You'd probably make good money being busy too.
They are busy during the summer.
Oh, yeah.
Extremely busy during the summer. So, you know, some people when that happens to them, they just go to a hotel for the
Oh, really?
for the night, and then they just come back to the house the following day. Yeah.
Especially if you're an elderly person and you really can't move or go somewhere, they could get pretty sick.
Yeah.
Or die really with heat stroke.
Yeah.
They're stuck in a house.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, definitely, like, it's something else. Like I remember one time, my AC got broke down, and we had to wait until the fall. Like it broke in the afternoon, so we had to wait until the following morning. So we had to be without AC throughout the night. We had all the windows open. We had all the fans going, and it was miserable.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine.
Because it was like 98, 99 degrees inside the house.
And see, that's the thing with the cold, though. You could always throw more blankets on or
True.
dress warmer,
Yeah.
right? With hot, you can get completely naked, and then that's
You're
just
still
it.
hot.
Yeah.
True. And at the time, I didn't know, you know, they make these things, this makeshift things where they put these buckets, right? And you put ice inside the bucket, and then you put a fan on the top, and then the air that is coming through the sides, you make holes on the side of this bucket, so then when you put the fan on top, the air that is coming out of those holes
that's a
is
good
cold,
idea.
so you can actually have a makeshift AC in
That's a
your
good
room.
idea.
So anyways, at the time, of course, we didn't know that you could do things like that. We could have done that.
Yeah, that's a really
Yeah.
good idea.
It's a really good idea, actually.
Huh.
So, you can find all kinds of things that you can make on YouTube.
When you're in desperate times, yeah. Exactly.
YouTube will help you with all kinds of stuff that you have to do. So,
Well, my kids both play soccer, and my daughter plays softball.
okay.
And so they're always practice every night, you know, after school, or games a couple times during the week on Saturdays. But I couldn't imagine, but it makes more sense they would have them later.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't imagine them playing in 110 degree weather.
Yeah.
It would just, I'm sure a lot of kids would get sick with heat stroke or something if they were.
Yeah. And they do have, you know, like season sports. You know, there are certain sports that are like, you know, the winter sports, the spring sports, and then some of them that are summer sports. But summer sports are usually like swimming or like gymnastics or, you know,
Something
like
inside,
things,
yeah.
most of the stuff is inside, yeah, like volleyball and stuff like that. So, yeah, they don't do much outside during the summer. I don't do much outside during the summer, actually, to tell you the truth. I take my grandkids sometimes to the park and take them like super late, like right before it gets dark. So we walk all the way to the park. Sometimes I drive them, but sometimes we walk so that they can get them really nice and tired. And they play for a little bit, and I'm like, okay, guys, it's getting dark,
Yeah.
let's go.
Time to go and
Time
go to
to
bed.
Yeah,
go
I'm
to
tired.
bed, yeah.
Well, I'm
Tired
sure
of
that playground equipment gets scorching hot during
yeah,
the day. You can't even get on it.
Well, if you, I don't know if you've seen them, but a lot of the parks here have those big, what are the things called?
Like an umbrella type
like,
deal?
Yeah, they're like made, like they're in a triangle. They're this big, huge
Like
shades for the equipment, so that the kids can actually play on them, because otherwise they get too hot.
Yeah, the
They'll
sun
burn
heat,
themselves. Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, most of them have the shades on top of them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Something that you wouldn't see probably in Idaho.
No, but even in Idaho, I mean, in August or July, and it's 95 out. I remember taking my kids to the park, and you get on those plastic slides. Yeah, and they burn their legs or their hands. So how far do you live from the police department here? So is it like a 15-minute drive? Or
15, 20 minutes.
That's
Yeah.
not bad.
No, it's not bad at all. So seems like, like Chandler and Mesa and Gilbert, it's like, they're so close together. It's like one city.
Kind of one thing.
Yeah, just kind of one thing.
We ended up getting to go to a Diamondbacks game last night.
You did?
That was fun.
That's a cool experience.
Yeah.
Isn't it that
Yeah.
place amazing?
It was
Yeah,
fun.
that was a fun night.
Yeah. You, like, once you go on, well, we call him Bob, because the first name that he had was Bank of America Ballpark.
Oh, okay.
So everybody used to call it Bob back when they really built it. Now he has had like 2 or 3 different names, so depending on who's sponsoring it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what kind of name it is.
It's
now.
Chase.
Chase.
Chase
Okay.
Stadium.
Chase
Yeah.
Stadium. Okay. So, but it's just the experience of walking in there and seeing this, amazing structure. It's just an amazing structure they have there.
Yeah.
Did you guys get to see where the kids' place that they have?
Mm-mm.
So up top, they have a terrace. So it's kind of interesting how they made it, because it's like a terrace. So it goes out like this, so you can actually see the game, and the parents can hang out right there and watch the game. And right here they have a playground for the kids, and they have batting cages for the kids.
Really?
So then the kids can actually be playing and and entertaining themselves, where the parents are
Watching the game.
drinking and watching
Yeah.
the game or whatever
Nice.
they're doing there. Yeah, so yeah, it's pretty amazing place.
Yeah, we tried going up to the second floor, and they had it shut down. Or
Oh,
maybe they
Because
just
of
shut
COVID. Yeah, because of COVID, you had to have a special pass to get up there if your tickets weren't up there. So wherever your tickets were, they kind of made you stay on the floor.
okay.
So we
Okay.
sat in section 135, kind of down the left field line, the third base line by left field. And
Those are good tickets.
yeah,
It's
I was pretty impressed with it. But as soon as you walk in, you see the field, you're like, holy smokes, that's cool.
It is very cool. It's an experience for sure.
Yeah, and I've been to a couple other games, in Denver and Chicago. Been to games up there, but it's always cool to see new stadiums and.
Did they have the top open?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And when we got there, the top was closed,
And then they opened.
and I didn't even know. Did you notice
Yeah.
them opening it? I didn't even see it. The next thing I look up, and it was open. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah, it's very cool how they do that. Sometimes they open it up and they have the Air Force do a flyover, and then
That would be
also
cool.
sometimes because the top all those, they look like it's their walls, but they're really not. Well, they're panels. So all the panels can actually go like this. So they're actually all the way up on the top. It actually opens up like this, so
Oh,
you can
really?
actually see all the way outside. So for the 4th of July, if there's a game on 4th of July, what they do is that they open the top, they open up all the windows up on the top, and then they have fireworks
That'd be
display.
cool.
That
It
would be
is
cool.
the coolest thing ever. It is so cool. And then and then on that day they let you on the field.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, they do.
Oh.
So I was there for one time for 4th of July. It was pretty amazing.
So do you go to a lot of those games or no?
Not anymore. I used to go a lot more when my son was little. He loved baseball, so I used to take him all the time. And then my youngest daughter liked it also, so when she was little. So then I used to take them both to the games
Oh, cool.
a lot more. But now they're both grown and they do their own thing.
Do they still go?
They're not cool. I'm not cool to be with mom anymore. So, my daughter still does. My daughter still does. My son's got some pretty. He struggles a lot with anxiety and being around people, a lot of people and stuff like that. So he doesn't get out much these days. So.
Well, I'm sure that's something that they'll always remember is going to that. I mean, I can remember when my dad took me to Dodger Stadium, when you're little. It's just something that sticks with you forever.
Yeah, they still talk about it.
Yeah.
They still talk about the games.
That's
There's a couple
pretty neat.
times. Yes, there's a couple times when I just I told my son it's just the two of us today. Let's go to the game. He's like, okay. And we would get the really expensive tickets, and we would be right, way at the bottom and really cool.
Did you ever catch a ball? A foul ball?
No, but you know what? One time, one of them came towards us and hit somebody right on the head, right.
Oh,
right
that would hurt.
Yeah.
That would hurt.
Yeah.
The bad thing about the ballpark is you pay a lot of money for a ticket, but then you get in and a hot dog is like $10.
Yeah.
Right?
And popcorn's $12. Before you get out of there, you're spending over $100 in food too.
It is very expensive.
So I mean, I think they can make that a little cheaper. But yeah, it was a good time. We sat in between. They played the Padres last night. And
Okay.
So we had 4 Padres fans behind
Yeah.
us? And they were drunk
Oh.
and yelling at the
Yeah,
Diamondback
yeah.
fans that were sitting kind of in front of us. So it was actually pretty entertaining.
They get
to
into
listen,
it, let
yeah.
me tell you. Or when where the Dodgers count, those games are so entertaining because they go at it and they just yell at each other, and then if somebody makes a mistake on the field, they just kill the other fans. Oh my goodness, they're so they get really into it. So you guys were over there by the pool.
There's a pool there?
You didn't see the pool? You did?
No.
Oh, come on, you guys missed out.
Where
Big
was the
fun.
pool?
So let's see. Base is here, right? So, and let's see this. So 2, 3. So right behind third.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's kind of right where we were kind of
Okay.
at.
So there is a big wall right there,
Uh-huh.
right? And right above the wall, that's where the pool is at. So you can actually buy tickets to be at the pool while
In the
you're
pool watching?
watching the game.
That would be
Yeah,
cool.
That's what we should have done.
it is very,
Yeah, that
very
would be
cool.
cool.
It's right below the big bar that they have there.
Yeah, we missed that.
Yep. So right, because there's only one main gate, right?
No, there's gates everywhere.
All over? Oh. See, we went, I don't even know where we were at.
So
But we walked, the gate we were at, you walk straight through, and it's kind of right where our tickets were.
okay.
So on the left field side of that gate.
Okay, all right. So you guys were coming more from the Washington Jefferson side more so than
Probably.
the street number side.
Yeah, we had to walk through like a parking structure
Okay.
right there to go through. But yeah, it was a good time. I'm glad we got to do that when we were down here.
Yeah, that's an experience. I really, really would recommend that anybody to go and take a look at that place. It's so amazing.
I wonder how much season tickets are. Because this would probably be the year to get season tickets if you could, because nobody's really going because of COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might be cheaper.
Maybe a little probably pretty dang expensive.
I don't know. I remember, I had I had a friend that had season tickets, and then when he wouldn't use them, he would call me and say, "Hey, you want to use my tickets? For such and such game." Yes, we'll take them.
Yeah, those are the friends to have.
We'll take them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was always nice to have those tickets, because then, like, the same people sit there all the time, so then you get to know the people that are sitting around you and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool. Yeah, I don't think that they will be very expensive. They used to be once upon a time, because baseball was like the thing to do, but now with COVID, everybody's so afraid of going anywhere and doing anything in public that.
Well, there's something to be said about just enjoying a baseball game, having a hot dog and a cold drink. And
Heck yeah.
Watching the game.
Heck yeah. Just being in that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the energy that is in there, that, the environment is so cool. I love that.
Even if you're not a baseball fan, you still have to do it.
That's how I became a baseball fan, by going to.
Oh, going and watching?
Going to watch the game. Because I never used to like it before. You couldn't understand it. And then I had somebody that taught me how, this is what that is and this is what that is. And I'm like, oh, okay, I can figure it out now. So.
And it's a lot better to watch it in person than on TV, too.
Oh, heck yeah.
Completely different.
Heck yeah.
Have you ever been to, let's see, what's the football team? Cardinals.
Yes. One time I went to the Cardinals game.
That'd be fun.
But.
Did you like it?
It was fine, but I was pregnant with my youngest daughter at the time, and it was hot, and it was like, I don't know if I want to stay here any longer. Just want to go home and just lay down kind of thing. So it probably wasn't the game. It was probably because I just needed to get some rest rather than either a football game. So that was a long time ago, because my daughter is 19 now. So imagine how long ago was that, right? So yeah. I don't know much for football. I mean, I liked the day that I went. It wasn't like, I hated it or anything like that. But
Do you watch sports on TV at all? No.
If I would watch any sport, I will be watching baseball. Yes. So, right around that time when they won the World Series, then that's when I used to really watch it.
How long ago was that? Was that when Randy Johnson played?
2001, when Gonzo was the one that did the winning hit. And that was crazy. That was a crazy day. People were like going outside in the streets and like celebrating and stuff. It was big. It was big here. It's something that,
Did you go to the parade?
Well, the people just went outside just to
Do
yell, and they're
parade,
just like, everybody's screaming, and why they're outside screaming, because the Diamondbacks, and then people had the Diamondbacks flags on their cars, for the longest time after that. So.
Sorry about that. That call came up last minute. We've got a response that's doing a thing by the 4th, and that's coming in quicker than we're happy about, so time for a conference call.
We were just discussing Diamondbacks baseball.
Well, is there anything to talk about this year?
No, they went to the game
last night.
Oh, did you? Was the roof open?
Roof was open.
Oh, that's awesome. It was.
Yeah. Mark McGuire hit one out the window. You know those big panels that open up?
She was just telling us
Yeah,
about the
he hit
panels.
one out the window.
Really?
Yeah, I know, it was like,
That's
420 feet or something like that. It was just insane. Hit it out the window. But, it's this lovely stadium that's shut most of the time. Which is good, but...
It was open.
When we got there, it was shut. And then...
Well, the opening is a dramatic thing, because they cool it down, and then all the air stays in there. So they'll open it up into June, because all that cool air stays in, right?
Okay.
As the cool air stays, it settles and stays in, and then they can open it up and you get this feeling. You decides if it opens or shuts, right?
Who?
It's the Diamondback pitcher who's pitching.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, 'cause, the unit, Randy Johnson, didn't like it open. He didn't like it open. So it didn't matter what the weather was, it was shit when he was pitching.
Really?
Except the time he hit that bird. Did you ever see that video?
Yeah.
Yeah, flying when he's
Fastball.
pitching, yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the
Blew
bird
it up.
was good.
Anyway, interesting.
There's still, we saw a lot of Randy Johnson jerseys still.
Yeah. Well, he was a freak.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a freak. In the very best sense of the term. This big, tall guy that had a lefty throw. I mean, oh my word. That slider he had. Ugly.
Yeah, we had a good time last night.
That's fun. What'd you eat?
Hot dog,
And
Did you have a dog?
chicken wings, yeah.
Good. Fun.
It was good.
Where were your seats? Where were you?
135?
I don't know where that is. Maybe
Right
third
down,
base, right
third
there.
base,
Yeah.
left field
Right down
area.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's good seats.
It was
Good
nice.
seats.
It was perfect, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
glad we got to go to that.
That's fun. I'm glad you enjoyed that too. That's
It's an awesome time.
That's really good time. I've been at a Diamondbacks game. Last Diamondbacks game I went to was in San Diego. We were over in California. Half of Arizona goes to California for the summertime for a week or two or whatever. And we were over there for a week and went to a Diamondbacks Padres game, and it was 70 degrees. You know, it was perfect. It was
That's who they
gorgeous.
were playing last night.
Yeah, Padres are the real deal this year. So
They whooped them.
yep.
Well, and they had some fans letting them know too.
Yeah,
Fans.
It's good. Cool. Sorry about the interruption.
No, you're good. You're good.
Back to discrepancies.
So Zulema, like I said, we're not accusing you of lying or anything like that. We just want to get ahead of this before it gets brought up in trial.
Yeah.
By either Chad's attorney or Lori's attorney or somebody brings it up and tries to discredit you.
Mm-hmm.
So I've kind of gone.
Was
through-
that statement recorded from
You know,
her?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. if
That
they
would be
have
helpful.
Or have or haven't. Yeah, this is
Because it's hard to verify something that you don't remember making, the statement you don't remember making.
right.
Yeah.
And they may have a recording. I just was pulling the Gilbert
Mhm.
reports. Okay. So we talked about that. So let's talk about the bag of cash that Alex gave you. Do you remember when he gave that to you?
He didn't necessarily give it to me. He just a couple of days before he passed. I don't know if it was like 1 day or 2 days before he passed. He said to me, Zulema, if anything happens to me, I want you to know that there is money in a bag in the closet, and it's for you. He said it's not much, but it's for you.
Okay. And did you ever count the money that was in there? Or know how much was in there?
Well, when before he passed away, no, because I just said whatever, you know what I mean? I wasn't going to touch his money. But after he passed away, I asked the police to bring it down, and my daughter and her boyfriend started counting it. They did.
And how much was in there?
I think that there must have been about probably between $5,000 and $7,000 or something like that.
Okay. Do you remember what else was in the bag?
I still have the bag.
Do you still have everything that was in it?
Yeah,
Do you remember what it was?
it was a bag. He had it in a plastic bag, like a Ziploc bag, and
Sorry, the money was in a Ziploc bag?
Mhm.
In another bag?
yeah,
Okay.
and what else is in there? I've looked through that thing like I don't know how many times, and now for the life of me I can't remember what's in there. There might have been a pair of headphones in there. I don't know. I can look in there and take a look and tell you what's in there.
You take anything out of it?
Probably. I mean, I took the bag out. You know what I mean? And I took the headphones out because I started. I'm like, I wonder if these are good headphones. And I started using them.
Did you take anything else out of it?
It's possible. I wasn't paying attention, to tell you the truth. Was I supposed to be looking for something?
No, I'm wondering, because we had reports there was some other things in there.
Yeah.
And
Like what?
like there was a gun associated with the bag of money.
Oh, okay. That's what you're asking for? You're asking for the guns, but the guns were in separate bags. Not in the same bag of not in the bag of money. The bag of money was, it's like a black duffel bag type thing with a zipper.
Okay.
And then there's the guns that he left, they have their own case. And they have, it's like a case, like a gun case, and then the gun goes in one thing, and then they have the clips, and
So just so I understand, the gun case was with the
next,
bag of money,
next.
but not inside the bag.
I don't think so. No.
And just so I'm clear, the bag of money was in a Ziploc bag inside of another bag.
Yes.
And the gun was not inside the bag with the money, nor was it inside the bag that the money was in. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, it has its own.
Okay.
Its own
Separate. Okay.
separate bag with a zipper that goes around like that. So when you open it like a book.
Okay, so in the duffel bag that the money was in, what else was in the duffel bag? Let me ask you this, was there a phone in the duffel bag?
Yeah, I think that's where they found a phone, because they took it. They took a phone.
Who? The
The
police?
Gilbert police took a phone that was in there, because it's in the inventory that they left. When they take things, they give you an inventory of what they take or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That there was they said that there was a phone. It's possible that they found it in there, but I don't know where they found it, to tell you the truth. But they said that they did take that phone.
Take a phone?
Mm-hmm. A phone.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know where they got it from?
No.
Okay.
It's possible that was in there, yeah.
It could have been in Alex's pocket, the phone they got.
Well, Alex didn't have any clothes on so.
Yeah, I was being
Yeah.
flip about it. Maybe it could have been somewhere else.
It's possible,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you don't remember anything else? Did you ever go through the bag before your kids did?
No.
And so when Alex gave you that bag, or told you if anything ever happens to me, did you ask him like, why would anything ever happen to you? Was that an odd statement that he had made?
I did. I said, don't say things like that, Alex. I said, why would you say something like that? And then he said, just in case. Just in case. That's the reason why I in my back of my mind, I was thinking, did he do something to himself? Why was he saying that 2 days before he passed?
So he tells you about the bag and says, if anything ever happens to me, there's some money in the bag. It's not much, but there's some money in the bag. And that was 2 days before.
Yeah, either the day before or either the day before he passed or the day prior to that. So the last 2 days that he was alive.
Okay. And then, so when you had let's go back to the conversation that you had with Alex when Tammy's body is being exhumed. Do you remember that conversation where you said you had confronted him and said, Alex, are you going to have anything to do with this? Why would you think that he may have something to do with it?
So, Lori and Chad had called that day, and they were the ones that told us that they were exhuming her body. And the way they were talking, they weren't really saying anything like, oh, we're worried or anything like that. It was more of like a feeling that I had that was like, this is really weird. Like, shouldn't they be like having this kind of reaction type of thing? You know, not like so nonchalantly, oh, they're exhuming her body today type of thing. And I was like, why are they so not nonchalantly about it? Like, are they hiding something? Did they do something? Did they not do something? And so that's why I wanted to. I knew that if I asked Lori and Chad about anything, they probably wouldn't say anything. But I thought that if they had been doing something, if he had done anything, Alex would probably tell me. So that's why I pressured him. I'm like, would you have anything to do with this? Like, if they assume this body, and are they gonna find anything? Did you have anything to do with this? And he said no. But I mean, I don't know if that was true or not. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. And the reason I ask is because, let's say, if my wife gets a call and they say one of her friends is being exhumed, that wouldn't be a question I would ask my wife is, did you have anything to do with this? That wouldn't even cross my mind. Do you know what I mean? It would be more like, hey, we're telling you it's getting exhumed.
Right.
Information-wise, this is what's going on. So that's why I wanted you to maybe expand a little bit on maybe why you thought or suspected Chad and Lori may have done something to Tammy, or that maybe Alex had known about something or had done something.
So remember that they were saying that Tammy had become a zombie.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that?
Yep.
And they were talking. I don't know who was saying who, because they always like, oh, I was told. Lori would say, I was told, and then Chad would say very little, and then it was kind of communicated through her. So it's kind of hard to tell who the information was coming from. But they were saying that Tammy was supposed to die on her trip to Utah. She was supposed to have he had seen it in a vision that she was going to die in a car accident in the way there, or something was going to happen that she was going to pass away.
Okay.
And then when she didn't pass away, then what they were saying was that she actually did pass away, but what happened was that she was taken over by an evil spirit, and then they were that she had become a zombie. Okay, so in the back of my mind, here I am thinking, okay, they said the same thing about Charles, right? And then Charles ended up being shot, right? I'm thinking, okay, you guys are not trying to say that you guys are going to do something physically to people who are, who are turning into zombies, according to them. That was my thought.
Okay. So, refresh my memory again. What was Alex's response to your question to him?
So he sat back and on the back and pressed his back towards like back of the bed, the headboard, and he goes, "No." And that's it. There's no answer after that. Nothing else. And I was waiting for him to say something else, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, are you going to say anything else? And he's like, no. Like, okay. So I thought when he seemed so sure of his answer, I was like, well, okay, well then he didn't have anything to do with this.
Okay. And is that the same conversation that's the same conversation you kind of got after, right? And we're pretty, maybe forceful is not the right word, but aggressive towards him as far as, tell me what's going on. Is that the
Yeah,
same
because
conversation?
that was when because right after so then I pressed for another answer, and he tells me no, right? So then so then I stand up and I start walking away because I'm like, I don't know what to think at this point. And that's when he said, I think I am being their fall guy. And I'm like, the fall guy for what? What is it? Tell me. What is it that they're trying to pin on you? What did they do? And he just wouldn't say anything else. And so then I get frustrated again because he's not answering my questions. So I turn around and I'm going to walk away again, because I'm just so frustrated that he's not saying anything. And that's when he tells me, either I am a man of God or I am not.
Okay.
Now, at the time, because I turned around and I said, what does that mean? What does that mean, Alex? Tell me, what does that mean? It's like you can't just tell me these things and not say anything to me. And I was so frustrated with him, so mad, really, because he wasn't saying anything else to me. And that, I guilt it. I thought for sure that I had probably given him a heart attack because I was, kind of pouncing on him, Now putting it all back, and now I understand that, they were probably telling him through blessings to do certain things, and he in his mind was either I'm following what God is telling me or I am not.
Did you have a question about that, Randy?
No.
I thought I saw you writing something down. Okay. So after he had said that, I think I'm going to be the fall guy.
I think I'm going to be
Their fall guy. Did you think that Chad and Lori had done something to Tammy? Was that your impression based on that statement?
I didn't know what to think at the time. I didn't know what to think. It was so confusing for me at the time because I saw at the time I still saw Lori and Chad as a very spiritual, kind, loving, charming, law-abiding, God-fearing people.
Okay.
So there was to me, it would be like, you know what I mean? So even when he said that, I was like, the fall guy for what? Like, what was it? What is going on? You know what I mean? And like, I couldn't even process it or put two and two together. What is it? So what was it that they would do?
Okay.
I mean, these things didn't even come together for me until like months and months and months of me thinking and processing and putting things together. You know what I mean? Because to tell you the truth, until they found the remains of the children, I still thought that there was a possibility that they had them hiding somewhere, that the kids were going to be alive.
That's what we all hoped too.
I really believed that they had them hiding somewhere. I believed them. I really did. That's what they were saying, that they were keeping them safe.
So on these conference calls with you and Chad and Lori, and then there was Melanie and Ian, you guys talk about a code word to make sure it's safe to talk. Do you remember talking about that with them?
Yeah, because remember I told you that the day that Alex and I were going to Vegas, that day when I got back from the spa, he wasn't in the house. And so then I called him and I said, hey, where are you at? And he's like, oh, I'm in the walkway, the green field behind the house with Gib and Melly. So he's like, just come out back here and meet us back here. So when I got to where they were at, that's what they were talking about. They were making a code word to say this is safe to talk, this is not safe to talk.
Do you remember what the words were?
So it was pretty bird, and the other one was not happy Bob.
Not happy Bob.
So which one meant it was okay to talk? Pretty bird?
I think it's the opposite. I think that pretty bird was not.
Okay.
And then not happy Bob meant it was okay.
Not happy Bob. Meant it was okay. Okay. So, whose phone number did you call because they would call you from Ian's phone. Whose phone number would you call to conference everybody through?
I think they had so many numbers. I don't remember.
Yeah, they did have a lot. And that's kind of what we're trying to figure out is whose phone you were calling to conference everybody in together. Because every time they would call you, and then you would do the calling.
I think so. Or I think sometimes we will call and they will call back, and sometimes they will call and they will answer, and then three-way the other person. I think it was a couple times it was Chad's phone, and then I think a couple times it was the Lori's new phone number, or the last phone number known that we knew anyways.
Okay.
I think it was both of them. Off the top of my head, I couldn't remember which one it was.
Okay.
And I don't think that my phone records would go back that far.
Okay.
They probably do. The numbers do.
Yeah.
So a couple times to Chad and a couple times to Lori.
Mm-hmm.
Just depending on who.
Yeah. Because a lot of times they wouldn't answer. They just, remember I told you about that ghosting that they would do. So a lot of times we would call one number and then they wouldn't answer, then we would call the other number, and sometimes they would answer and sometimes we would call the other number again. So there was a lot of that calling and no answer, and then sometimes they would call back.
And that's when they lived in Hawaii.
Well, they were in Hawaii, but at the time.
Because that was after November
Right.
26th or 26th.
Yeah. And I thought for sure that they were I thought they were somewhere in Utah or somewhere in there, because one time there was this conversation, and they were laughing because they said that Lori had gotten stuck in her car because of a storm, and she couldn't move in her car, and she had to spend some hours or like part of the night or the whole night somewhere until she could actually get through the storm. So at the time I thought, in my mind I thought, that it was like a snowstorm that she couldn't get through, and I thought, well, probably Utah. That's what I was thinking, But I don't know if it was a storm over there, or were they here still and before they left for Hawaii? I don't know. But
Or were they telling you that to put you off? What was where they
Right.
were maybe?
it's possible also. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And that's one of the things that she would say would be, for your protection, we're not telling you where we're at. For your protection.
So how come you were the designated, or how come you were always the one who would make the calls? How come it wouldn't be Ian or Melanie or anybody else within the group that would call Chad and Lori?
I don't know. I guess it was just kind of like I just kind of take over kind of thing. I don't know. Maybe. There was no really a particular reason why I would. There wasn't like a
everybody
designation or anything like that.
Did everybody know their number in the group?
At that time, no, they didn't, because I remember one of those conversations. I remember that we put Melly on the phone, and I remember she just started crying and crying because they weren't answering calls, and that one of the numbers, I guess, wasn't working anymore. So she hadn't talked to them since they had left Rexburg.
And when you say Melly, that's Melanie Boudreaux.
Yeah. Because the way that they were, part of the manipulation and part of that indoctrination and getting you to be part of this, needing them and being, close to them and stuff like that, was their constant offering you a blessing of comfort, or offering you a blessing of something that was going to happen, so promising you something. So it was almost as if when you get that on a constant basis all the time, and then all of a sudden you don't, it's almost as if you're like, whoa, what happened there? You know what I mean? All of a sudden you feel like, oh my goodness, I have no guidance now. You see that? And I believe that I can't say how Melly was feeling at the time, but I would imagine that she was feeling like, she hadn't had any contact or anything from them since they left Rexburg. So I remember her being in tears having that conversation.
So kind of off what you said is, when she was in tears, and did she or anybody ask you for their numbers? If they, well, because they knew you had them, right? Because you were the one that was calling. So did they ever say, or after the conference call when you talked to Chad and Lori, did Alex or Melanie or Ian or anybody ask you, say, hey, well, can you forward me their number? I'd like to call them and talk to them. Or was it just you that solely had their?
No, they had their number too. They had their number. If I'm not mistaken, it's probably, I can't say for sure, but I'm thinking that it was probably given to Melly that day during the call.
During one of the conference calls?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't remember. I really don't know why that kind of became like a
Pattern?
Yeah. Like, I mean, I didn't even see it as a pattern until until you're bringing it up. I didn't even realize that it had become a pattern like that. So, and it's possible that it was part of that, manipulation, part of that, you're the contact person kind of thing, or, putting you in this. This is one thing that now that we're talking about this, one of the things that they started saying to me from the beginning was that putting me in a position of being so special. Like Lori and Chad used to say to me often, your mission is the most important one. We have to take care of you more than we have to take care of anyone else, because your mission is most important and more important than anybody else's. They always said that to me from the beginning.
Okay.
And there was, Lori would say that sometimes when we would just get together, she would, say that, oh, everybody has to, make sure that you're praying and taking care of Zulema, because her mission is the most important.
Okay.
And if they had some pretty crazy plans, I mean, now it would make sense why.
Yeah.
I would be the most important, if that's,
Yeah.
if that was part of the final plan.
So along those lines, with you being the most important mission, and I know we've talked about this a little bit as far as your marriage with Alex. Was Chad or Lori directing you to marry Alex?
They were suggesting it, and they were saying that we should be together. Chad did give me a blessing one time, saying that I would get married again. And I remember telling him, I don't know about that. I'm like, I already told myself that I was never going to be married again, so I don't know about that. But I do have a feeling, even though I never heard it myself, I do have a feeling that they were probably saying that to Alex.
So did Chad or Lori ever tell you, as part of your mission, that you need to marry Alex, or that part of your mission is marrying Alex?
So the way that they presented it was that in order for people to finish their missions, they always had to have somebody that was going to be equal in their, I guess, in their spirituality, equal to them, and that they were going to be a helper to complete that mission. So then they started saying, Alex will be part of that for you. He will be the person who will be able to help you with your mission, and he will be the supporter that you will need, and things like that.
So did you believe that in order for your mission to be complete, that you needed to marry Alex? Did you believe that?
I wasn't sure, to tell you the truth, if I really had a mission. I kind of took their word for what they were saying. They, like, often they would say, okay, Zulema, we want you to do this. And I would go, okay, and I would just say a prayer or whatever. And then they would say, oh, Zulema, this is what you did. So it was never like I would be able, you know what I mean? Like, am I really doing any of this stuff? Or are they just like saying that because they were confirming it for me, or, stuff like that. So I had a lot of like things that were in my mind that were like, I don't know about this. So it was a lot of, I used to tell them all the time, I'm putting that on the shelf until I can understand it, or until I have more information, or, or whatever, a prompting or something about that. And I kept, praying about, about Alex. And, he was like, he was there. You know what I mean? From the beginning, he was like, I want a relationship. I'm not messing around. He was like, I want to get married, and I mean, he was insistent about it, and I was like, no, wait, let's wait. No, I don't have an answer. I'm not sure about that, and I had my doubts. Let me put it that way. I had my doubts, and then I kept praying and praying and praying, and then once Alex and I got to know each other a little bit better, and we started spending time together and talking to each other, I really started liking him. And the things I liked the most about him was that he was the kind of person that I could go deep conversations and deep discussions about the scriptures, and he knew the scriptures very well. And sometimes we would sit on the phone for like 2 hours discussing scriptures, and I'm like, I've never been able to do anything like that with anybody, much less, someone who was interested in me. You know what I mean? So when I went there, I think I went there in October, I think it was, around October 7th. He was ready to get married. He was like, he said that he had called, I guess another county where you could just go, kind of like Las Vegas type thing. You can just go and you can get your license and you can get married right away. And he was like, he was
ready to go.
He was ready to go, and I was like, no, Alex. I'm like, I am not 100% sure that I want to do this, so I need to wait. I need to wait. And he's like, okay, we'll wait for as long as you want to. We'll wait. I mean, he wanted to, but he wasn't like pressuring me. You know what I mean? He just said he was ready. And then when he was coming back down from Rexburg for when he was coming down for Thanksgiving, a couple of days, I think it was the day before he arrived, I was praying and I was asking, and I just got this feeling that, like, okay, I think that it's time for me to marry him.
Do you think Alex was pressuring you because Chad and Lori wanted him to get married to you?
Mm-hmm. It's possible.
And this might be a tough question. Do you think Alex truly loved you, or was just doing it because Chad and Lori told him to?
I have asked that myself many times, and I don't know if someone could actually fake it that well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I didn't love somebody, I don't know if I could be that doting over that person. At least I couldn't fake it. Maybe he could. And if he could fake it, then he was a really good faker. Okay? Because he was like, he doted over me. And maybe that's one of the things that they told him to do. Maybe that's what maybe that was his orders that they had given him, was for him to be doting over me. But he would, like, from the minute that he got up until he went to bed, he made sure that I was happy, that I was taken care of, that I had everything. Like I told you, I mean, one day I was like, what sounds really good right now, Alex? He's like, what? I was like, salsa and chips. And he got up and he picked up his kids and goes, I'll be right back. And he was out the door. He went to got me chips and salsa, and he came back. He goes, here you go. And he would say all the time, as you wish. As you wish. So I don't know. It is a possibility that, yes, he could have faken that, yet. So it had to be a really, really good faker.
Were you in love with him when you got married, or were you doing it because Chad and Lori?
I loved him. I loved Alex very much.
I'm just going to go back on a couple questions on his. Before we stopped the first time, we were in the hospital with Alex, and I think it's Chandler or Gilbert that was in there. Gilbert police in the hospital as well. Your son-in-law said that he has an attorney now, so if you want to talk to us, talk to the attorney. What did he need an attorney for at that time?
You mean what did he need an attorney, or what
No,
did he need an attorney?
and I might have misunderstood you before Garrett stepped out the first time. You were telling Ray once Alex was in the hospital, you were there, and I believe your son-in-law was there, and the Gilbert police were asking something, and he mentioned to him that either he has an attorney or there's an attorney for Alex, so talk to the attorney now. Was he talking about Alex having an attorney at that time, or was he talking about himself having an attorney? Does that make sense?
Yes. So he was talking about he was saying that his attorney to talk to his attorney because he was going to be representing me from then on.
Talk to Alex's attorney?
No,
Or to
my son-in-law's attorney.
Okay, why would he need an attorney? I guess is what I'm asking.
Why
Yeah.
did he have an attorney?
Yeah, why would he need one at that time?
So what happened was that my son-in-law came out of a parking lot from I think it was.
Let me cut you off and tell the story. I don't think he cares why your son-in-law knew the attorney. Did your son-in-law need an attorney under this investigation?
Under this, no, not under this investigation.
Okay,
It
so
was
the
for
police
somebody
attorney was for
else.
her.
Oh,
He contacted an attorney that he knew for her.
okay.
Yes.
And I guess that's what I'm getting at. Why did you feel you needed an attorney at that time?
I didn't. He felt that I
He
did.
felt, okay, all right, that's what I was, sorry if that was confusing.
I was so out of it at the time. I didn't
Yeah, there's
even
a lot
know.
going on.
I didn't know what was coming or going, and he was adamant. He was like, nope, you're not speaking to the police without an attorney. And then I remember when I got home, they tried to interrogate me again. This time they said that they were going to separate me and the kids and interrogate us again. And then again my son-in-law called and said, your attorney is going to be calling
Gotcha.
the person, and said, just because he had taken me to his car, and so he's like, just get out of the car, tell him that he needs to talk to your attorney, go inside, tell the kids that you're not answering any more questions, and that to talk to the attorney from now on. So I went inside and I told the kids that.
Was there a reason why he thought you needed an attorney?
Did you know?
Or was it just, if you knew, did you know?
He had had a really bad experience with the police just prior to that. That's the reason why he knew that. A really bad experience. And he just...
Didn't trust police.
Yeah.
During the time when you talked to Lori and Chad and Melanie, did you ever have any other phones, or did you always just have your one phone? And the reason why I ask this is because throughout this whole investigation, there's been throw phones over here, throw phones over there. You mentioned throw phones last time you and I spoke here. Did you ever have any other phones or phone numbers?
No.
Okay.
This is the only phone I ever had. I did get a phone, like I told you guys, the day that Alex died, because the police took my phone and I needed to have a phone until they returned it.
Okay.
So,
And I might have been dozing off or something. You might have already talked about this. Well, I know we talked about the code words and all that. When would you need to use code words, and why did Chad and Lori think that code words were necessary?
so the way that they had expressed it was because, you were a high level 6 dark person, And so
I'm
was
sure you would
your,
have been too. I mean, that's just,
Oh, yeah,
and so
I-
was your partner, right?
I'd be his boss.
And you guys were seeking their destruction, and you guys were working with Kay seeking their destruction, and they needed to have protection because, you know, they were saying that the kids were safe and they had them in a safe place. So, you know, in order for them to be safe from you and your UK and your partners, because you were all very high-level dark people.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Do you mind looking in your phone to see if I've got a number, and I was wondering if it might match up to someone you might know.
Okay?
It's 602 290 7288.
602-290?
Yeah.
Nothing comes up. But for some reason that 290, isn't that part of Alex's number?
if it's in your phone, it should populate.
Yeah.
910. See, there's a lot of stuff then. My granddaughter got a hold of that phone that I had during those.
Everything.
And I don't know if you knew this, but I didn't know this, that if your phone and your old phone are connected to the same Wi-Fi, that if you do something on the old phone, it will show up on your new phone.
Gotcha.
So she deleted like
Deleted all that.
hundreds and hundreds of phone numbers
Oh,
from
no.
my phone. I'm still trying to recoup them, so.
Do you still have Chad in your phone at all?
I think so.
What do you have his numbers?
He had one that he kept all the time. Let me see if it's still there. No, it's not. Okay, let me see if I can find it under my text. See if that's one of the ones that got deleted. Okay, I have 208-690-9374.
Okay. Was that the only one?
I'm looking, let's see if there is any other one. I don't see another one.
Okay. I know, I mean, throughout all this, looking into stuff, Chad went by another name, Raphael. Do you have that in your phone by chance?
Oh, let me see. Maybe. No, I don't. But.
Does that ring a bell with you though, the Raphael?
Mm-hmm. But I remember he had changed the number, and Alex asked me for it, and his number was 602-290-7288. Is that the one that you were just asking me for?
Yep.
Yep.
So
That's
whose is it?
Chad's.
that's Chad's. And Alex texted you that.
Yes.
When did he text you that? Do you still have that?
He texted me that on December 5th.
Okay.
So on Zulema, on a couple of those recordings, you refer to Chad as Raphael. Is that what you called him normally, or did you normally call him Chad?
I would call him Chad.
Chad.
Mm-hmm.
So when did you call him? Sometimes you just call him Raphael. Because on one of those you say, let me call Raphael's calling through. Is that just sometimes you would call him that, or
Yeah, just
during
sometimes.
certain times? Or?
I think that Alex used to call him Raphael a lot. So if I was saying something like that, it's probably because Alex was with me, because he would call him that.
Gotcha.
So,
Well, you still had it in your phone. That's good. The number.
yeah. I mean, I don't have that particular number in my text or in my phone, but I remember him asking me for that number. And I remember me saying, Raphael just reached out to me and he has a new number
Oh, nice. And that was on the 5th of December?
on the 4th.
Oh, 4th.
And
Okay.
then Alex asked me for it on the 5th.
Gotcha.
And then on the 6th, I remember he went and got pizza for all of us to have dinner. And then on the 7th, he went to Mexico
Okay.
and came back sick.
I was just doing follow up on that. Did you have any more?
Do you still have some?
No.
Yeah, Zulema, we appreciate it. I know you hate to talk about this stuff, and
I want to help.
and we appreciate it, and that's why, I don't know what the defense plan is going to be with Chad and Lori. It could be that they try to throw everybody else under the bus, and they try to use different things or say different things. That's why it's super important if you can remember anything. That way we can get out in front of it before defense has a chance
Get it. And
to get it and
Jared knows
on the
that.
stand.
Your
So
attorney knows that right now.
we just want to make sure that we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's with everything. That way we can come out in front of it.
You guys, I still have those pair of scissors in my house, right?
Oh, Lori's
Lori's
scissors.
that are $100 and something or 300
They're
and something.
$1,000.
Oh, that's way up.
Serious scissors.
But yeah, like Ray said, we appreciate it.
I always have that feeling that there was something really nefarious about her giving me those scissors. I still do.
And she gave them to you when she came home from Hawaii, right? When you met him and
When they had just gone back for getting married.
the layover or whatever.
Yep. And for some strange reason, in my mind, because I'm trusting people, in my mind, I was like, oh yeah, she can't take him on the plane with her, so And then my daughter said, Mom, she just got off of a plane with him. Why couldn't she take him back on a plane with her?
Well, let me do some checking. Maybe do you want them, or do you?
I don't want to have anything to do with
I mean, maybe we could just.
It's just really, it's so bizarre. Why would she hand me those things? It makes absolutely no sense for her to hand
I
me
wonder
those
how
things.
she got on the plane with him in the first place, and then didn't want him to go.
Does
on
she
another
check
plane.
bags, do you know? Because they could be in check bags.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, I guess I could.
If there was a check bag, or it could have been missed, Lots of possible explanations.
And
but-
the other thing that I remember that I was telling Garrett was that when we were in Vegas, I don't know if you guys knew, but Alex was a massage therapist, and my back was bugging me, and after the trip there and in the car and he said, oh, he's like, I'll just give you a massage and, you know, just fix your back. I'm like, okay. So, but for some strange reason, this is really weird. Like, for some strange reason, at the time, of course, I didn't think anything of it, but, you know, now I'm like all creeped out about it. He said that we needed to find a Walmart because he wanted to buy this big, huge piece of plastic to put on the bed so the oil didn't get on the bed. But it was one of those ones that you put on the floor when you paint. Okay. And we went to Walmart and we got it and he put it on the bed.
And this is when you were in Vegas?
When we were in Vegas, yeah. It was the day after we got married.
So you put it on the bed.
Yeah.
And he gave you the massage. And then what
and
did you do with
the
the
weirdest thing about it was that, and this is when it gets even weirder, because after that I fell asleep. Okay, because I was so relaxed after the massage. I was so relaxed, I fell asleep, and then I remember waking up. I was in and out, and I could hear him talking, and I was like, "Who's he talking to?" And I kept like trying to wake up, and finally I'm like, I made myself wake up, and I'm like, Alex. I'm like, who are you talking to? He's like, nobody. I was talking to myself. I'm like, okay. So then I remember I took a bath, and I said, let's watch a movie. And he was like, he was on his phone, I think playing his game or something. And he was like super quiet. It was totally eerie for Alex, because Alex usually like, he was like joking, and he would say something and he would find one way or another to make it into a joke and make it funny, and like he was always making you laugh and laughing at himself or making a joke about something, but he said nothing for the rest of the evening. Nothing.
Well, that's really weird that he had you lay on plastic.
So maybe I'm just a little too crazy now because of all the stuff that's happened, but in my back of my mind, I keep thinking that who was on the phone was Chad and Lori, and that was supposed to be my last day, and he was supposed to.
And it very well could have been. When you woke up, did you feel normal? I mean, did you feel like, when you said you were in and out of consciousness, like you were trying to wake up or you didn't feel right?
Like I was really down, like I was really, really like one of those ones when you're like trying to wake up and you can't wake up kind of thing. Like I was thinking, why am I so relaxed and I can't wake up kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Did you feel drugged?
Drowsy, like just, I was kind of like really like drowsy. I was like, what?
What time of day was it?
In the middle of the afternoon.
Did he give you anything to drink before that? Or make you a drink or fix you anything to eat?
I mean, I remember us going to get something to eat, and then we came back to the hotel, and I remember we did have some drinks with us, like, you know, I don't know, maybe I might have had like no, I didn't have a Red Bull that day. I had something with me, might have been a water or something, I don't know, with me. And I always used the little cup, and you know, I like to use the little glasses, so I always had my glass with ice and whatever it was that I was drinking at the time.
So did he give you a massage? I mean, did you have oil on?
Not enough to
use.
Weren't the drop cloth?
To what a drop cloth, you know what I mean? It just didn't. At the time, I had no question about it. Now I'm like, well, why would you necessitate a whole drop cloth all over the bed to give me a massage? That just doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Mm-hmm. So
and then the fact that he was quiet for the rest, that he said nothing, like nothing after that. He was quiet, and And that's so not Alex. Alex is not quiet.
So did you ever ask him, like, man, why did we need all that, or what?
No.
And so you heard him talking to somebody.
And I believed him, and he was talking to himself, at the time. You know what I mean? Trusting him completely.
And that was right after you guys were married.
The day after. Yeah, it's really weird.
It is super weird.
It's super weird. Especially because he wasn't talking. And I even asked him, I said, are you okay? Like you're so quiet, usually not quiet like this. He's like, I'm just tired. I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, I'm gonna leave you alone then so you can rest. So I left him alone. He didn't say anything else. So I ended up watching him in the apartment. I was like, well, he was on his phone. Playing a game I think he was doing.
And it's little things like that we're super interested in. So if anything like that comes to you again, something that you may think is super small, please let Garrett know, or
we'll communicate it to you for sure.
That was super weird.
let us know. Yeah, just little things like that help us put pieces together. Was that the only time that happened?
Yeah.
Had he given you massages before?
No.
Okay.
Did he since then?
No.
So that was the one time he offered to give you a massage.
When we would get together, sometimes he would come and he would put his fingers on my neck and go. He would say, "What is it with you people? With you translated people that have such big, stressful shoulders," or something like that. He would say that, but I wasn't the only one that was receiving it. He would do it to everybody else. Just kind of like relax the neck. And then when we got back from Vegas and we were at my house, sometimes in the mornings I have a really hard time waking up, and then in the mornings I would like turn my alarm off and just sit there trying to like get up. And I remember he would like rub his finger like up and down my back and go, "You can get up, you can wake up," kind of thing, like kind of waking me up, and not a massage like he did that day.
So when you woke up from that massage, did you feel like you were way too groggy than you should have been?
I was super. I thought, I'm like, oh my goodness, he's like must be a really good, massage therapist, because I am so relaxed right now. Like I am, like so relaxed. Like I felt like, like when you get out of like the sauna. When you get out of the sauna, you're like so relaxed, you could actually take a nap. That's what I felt.
So you didn't feel out of it.
No,
it was just relaxed.
Very relaxed. Yeah, like super. What was really weird though was that in and out that I had when I was laying on the bed, because I could hear him talking and I was trying to wake up, but I kept going back down, and then I kept hearing him again talking, and I couldn't discern what he was saying. I could just hear him talking, and he was in the bathroom talking.
Did he kind of talk to himself much?
Well, not really. Not like that. Like he was actually having a conversation. Like he sounded like he was having a conversation.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when I talk to myself, I'm always like, say one thing or two things. Or
I think I'll go to McDonald's for lunch.
Something like that. But
no,
no,
that's because of Wendy's. You have this.
Yeah.
He was having a conversation.
Okay.
So it, now of course putting all this together and processing after, over a year, I keep thinking that he was actually on the phone with somebody when this was happening. There was no way that he was going to necessitate a big old drop cloth for that bed to give me a massage.
When you guys got married, or prior to get married, did you guys talk about insurance or life insurance, or did you add him to anything, or did he add you to anything?
Not that I know of. I know a couple people have asked me that too. But I wasn't the one that, I wouldn't have had any knowledge of that, but Lori would.
Okay.
Because, Charles was in that business. So,
we're here till Saturday, so if you want to give us those scissors, we'll be more than happy to take them off your hands. We can just lock them into evidence.
okay.
If you don't want them,
No, I
we
don't.
can take them from you.
You don't need me, you can just bring them by here anytime. It's important.
That'd be great.
Mhm.
We'll be here till Saturday morning,
Yeah, I think so.
so anytime between then, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, that's not a problem. Yeah, I'll just bring them over because I think tomorrow is my report day, so I don't have any cases tomorrow, so I'll just drop them off sometime tomorrow. Maybe
Awesome.
I'll just
Nice.
make it into my lunch hour so I can get a nice little break from
There
being
you
in
go.
the computer for
Enjoy the
15
nice
hours.
warm weather. Zulema, do you have any questions for us? Anything we can answer? Anything at all?
I have a lot of questions.
Well,
A lot of questions. I have a question on this people's sanity. I always ask myself whether it's because these people are insane or because they're just led by evil, Now I'm putting all the things together. I just really, more than ever, at the beginning I had a feeling that they had a really nefarious plan to do something to me and to Alex, or that we were the final piece, that I was the final piece to move to Rexburg. And I feel that, by the grace of God, I didn't move there. And I always feel that kind of like dodged the bullet by not moving there. And if I would have moved there, things would be very different today.
probably.
I always thought, and now more than ever, I think that they had, and of course the question is in my mind about, was Alex being true? Was he lying? Was he being told to do what to do? Did he really have a relationship with me because he just was following what Chad and Lori were telling him? You know what I mean? All that. And at that time in Vegas, was he supposed to kill me that day? Was he being instructed to do that? And I always think like, okay, he couldn't go through with, killing me, but then it's a possibility that he would have gone through to kill himself. So, all that, I have a lot of questions.
That's a lot to weigh on your mind.
So,
Well,
and I'm sorry I can't remember much of that night. Of that night Alex passed away. I just don't. I can't even put what happens first and what happened that time at the hospital.
okay.
Can't remember much.
Well, like I said, if you have questions or you want to reach out or something, go through Garrett or
Always.
you still have my card.
I do, yep. I've got you in my phone. So, I may not have the card, but I've got you in my phone, so it's better than the card. That's it. Cool.
Okay, well, thank
We
you again.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys. Good to see you again. I'm
Yeah,
glad
well,
you guys
you
got
too.
to
Good to
enjoy
see you.
April in Phoenix.
Yeah. Well, and you got us to go see a Diamondbacks game. So
Yeah.
we're-
Next time you
Oh,
guys
doing
got to go to
good.
the pool.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys still on track for July?
I'm not sure. Probably not.
Yeah. We were talking about that. I said I would be surprised if it went, but
Yeah. No, it'll probably be pushed back a little bit.
good. get
Yeah,
right.
but,
Yeah, okay. Just wanna make sure I still have the right number, so.
I'm getting losing.
Enjoy your stay, guys. Yeah.
Anything, let us know.